The first time I saw Jane Lynch perform was at Second City. I was working in the box office, and she was cast in a brand new touring company, a cast that included Tim Meadows and Jill Talley, among others. They were testing out material in an act of their show, and instead of the usual improv set after the main stage show. And my first thought on seeing Jane perform was, she's really, really tall. And really, really funny. When we welcome new students to the comedy major, we tell them that we value three main things: play, risk, and ensemble. And it seems particularly apt that Jane is giving this commencement speech since her work so clearly embodies those values. To be a comedian is to play with your collaborators, your material, and your audience. The best part of watching Jane on stage and on screen is that she always brings a kind of comic secret to her work. You don't just enjoy her performance, you get to see her having fun inside of it and play along with her. We ask our majors to take risks, that they court and embrace the potential for failure, because the edge of failure is where the deepest and most interesting comic work resides. Jane has consistently taken risks in her work, both in her choices of projects and even more so in her character work. She creates characters who are distinctive, larger than life, and 100% committed to their own very particular objectives. Working within an ensemble requires your own particular voice and surrendering that to the group, but then using that voice to serve the whole. Jane's career is marked by her work in ensembles, starting with the Second City and Annoyance Theaters, here in Chicago, in films helmed by Christopher Guest and Judd Apatow, and on television in Glee. She always brings her unique voice to her collaborative work with choices that support both her role and to make the entire piece better. I am thrilled to have the opportunity to introduce Jane as today's commencement speaker. She's an amazing role model for our students, and I have to say, she's still really, really tall and really, really funny. Jane Lynch.
Jane Lynch. By the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees, I hereby confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Arts, honoris causa, with all of the rights, privileges, and responsibilities pertaining thereto. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, thank you. That's fabulous. Wow. Congratulations! I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be here and how wonderful this event is. This is the most spirited commencement I've ever been to, and I'm so happy to be a part of it. And Manifest, I wasn't there for much of it, but I walked through. It was just absolutely amazing. And to those of you who made that 3-minute video, congratulations. It looked like it was just a blast. When I researched commencement speeches on the internet, as I did, hoping to rip one off and claim it as my own, I was astonished to see some of the nonsense passed on to graduating student bodies all over this country. Some of the recurring themes, and we heard some of them from here today. Some of the recurring themes include live in accordance with your beliefs, set your goals and your intentions, and give back. As I stand here before you today, possessed of all the experience and wisdom accumulated over many more years of life than any of you, I can firmly state that I am against all of these things. Especially as an artist, our expression is so deeply connected to inspiration and the divine, if you will, that space where the thinking mind can never go. And goals, ambitions, and beliefs, they are products of calculation. Tools necessary and very helpful when booking a flight online, but killers of inspiration. As you step away from this cozy, crazy artistic confine of Columbia College, It will be tempting to fall under the spell of the real world. So I would like to issue a warning to you. Beware of cultural memes, like belief systems and how you must operate from one. Resist this. You will just have to dismantle it when you begin to see belief systems for what they are, soul killers and crushers of the creative spirit. Right? This includes attempting to squeeze yourself into a style or mode of artistic expression. Labeling yourself as one kind of an artist or another will make your work dry and lifeless, and it will make you no fun. You'll start worrying about things like being consistent. And as an artist, you'll get mechanical and you'll become very bored. And you know what causes suffering? Goal setting. Here's some math for those of you who are getting your degree in math. No goals plus nothing to achieve equals peace. Life is what happens to you when you're making other plans. That's John Lennon. Pump up the volume, dance, dance. I don't know who said that, nor do I know why it's relevant. Now, you're probably thinking, if I'm not working towards something, I'll just sit around all day watching the Real Housewives of this or that, and I'll get fat. But I'm telling you, you won't. You'll live happily, you'll live freely, as beauty and peace flow spontaneously. Wonderful opportunities will roll in at your feet, I swear to God. Oh, and scientists have proven there's no free will anyway. That the impulse to do anything comes from the ethers, and it occurs about 1.5 seconds before we think we make the decision to do anything. And then we say, oh, I did that. Well, according to science, no, you did not. According to science, the music has already been scored, the script is written, and the painting is done, which is kind of a bummer, isn't it? After 4 years of school. But after a while of pondering this and accepting this, it's actually quite freeing, because you'll begin to experience living in the present, which is really the only game in town, right? And the only place where peace and love and absolute contentment live, not to mention the illumination we draw from to create. Perhaps you've been in the presence of such a person, living in such a place. Everything about them, everything they create, has a beauty and a grace. They're not concerned with or motivated by doing the right thing. They're true to their own creative genius. And it's not something they're doing. It's not an adherence to a slogan or a campaign. There's just a natural generosity about them. The direct result of being one with their own heart. They give by simply being. And they always have a terrific sense of humor, so beware of the humorless do-gooder. Right? Which brings me to the next meme to beware of. Giving back. Don't do it. Don't. If you achieve any kind of fame or financial bounty as the result of your creative efforts, you may feel the obligation to, quote unquote, give back or pay it forward. Listen, it's not like anything is going to be handed to you, so take what you can get. And don't feel bad about it. If you do what makes you so happy that you want to scream, you'll be teeming with such beneficence you won't be able to stop yourself from giving. But don't do it because some silly slogan told you to. A device conceived just to make you feel guilty and part with your stuff. Don't do it. Oh, and did I mention there's no free will anyway? Now, ignoring what most of society tells you eliminates the dreaded shoulds. Not only are shoulds artist joy kills, but they ruin just about everything else, especially in the roles we assign each other. And nothing is more front-loaded with expectation and misery than the roles we assign to our moms and our dads. Rife with the pressures of unattainable perfection, what a setup for disappointment and abandonment issues suffered well into adulthood. As Cher once said to Nicolas Cage, get over it. Right? And I suggest that you apologize to them today. Lighten up, then dig deep. Have you ever laughed deep from within your own soul, where you're doubled over and you're gasping for breath, you're snorting maybe even, not a thought in your head. I recommend these laughs because you can't think when you're laughing like that. You can only respond. And it's the same with grief. That deep from within the very core of your being sob, the act of grieving, of wailing, what the Irish call keening, renders your mind inert and you are empty. And in that moment, there's no suffering. There's just catharsis. And you are nothing but a physiological response to a glorious surrender. Have you ever had one of those laughs or one of those cries? I'm sure you had a lot of them in the last 4 years. They're delicious, aren't they? Well, I recommend that you allow them to overtake you often. The resulting state of those cathartic moments is peace. And it's very healing. And it's very contagious. You know how one candle can light another candle without diminishing its own flame? You be that candle. Or, you know how when you're smoking a doob and you can light another doob without diminishing the light from your own doob? You be that doob! Now, because this way of thinking can seem radical and in violation of our social norms, especially the doob part, you might just want to keep this to yourself and, just live it. Sometimes when we use words to describe something awesome and profound, it becomes a concept. And then you're no longer experiencing, you're thinking. Also, it might freak people out. So maybe not express how you see yourself as a candle in, say, a job interview. Or on social media. You just keep quiet. Now, if I were to title today's talk, I think I'd call it Live by the Inner Flame of Your Very Being. Subtitle, I Am a Candle. Subtitle, maybe don't tweet that. So let's recap. Don't give back, don't have goals, don't believe in anything, don't be a humorless do-gooder, don't blame your parents, you big baby, and don't let people tell you what not to do and what not to do. Do operate from the depth of your heart. Be so open to the funny, the ironic, the absurd, that you can't help but laugh stupid and cry ugly, and be a beacon of light for anyone lucky enough to be in your presence. Now, if you live that way, people will be drawn to you and they'll want to give you awards and accolades, and it's awesome. You'll get to be a doctor. But do as I am doing today, humbly accept, knowing inwardly that walking in the light and love is reward enough. And if you want to use that in your speech, please be sure to credit me. It's only fair. We're only here for a short time by any measure, 80, 90 years at the very, very most. And before we drop these bodies, and whatever survives returns once again to its source. Until then, let's just all be our light selves and revel in that. Oh, and there's no free will. Thank you so much. Congratulations.